Hey, what's up, nerds? It's MTG Man bringing you back some more kitchen table showdown. So I've just been really into the whole idea of kitchen table magic, simple decks. These are 20 bucks each, and I want them all to interact with each other. So part of that, I've decided that I'm going to switch out all of the Lantern of the Lost that I had in the decks last video, out with Soul Guide Lantern, because a good number of these decks really don't want to exile their own graveyard, so Soul Guide Lantern is just better. So that's just a simple change I made across all the decks that had it last episode. But anywho, I've got 11 more decks, I think, I'm going to show off, so let's just get into it. Starting off with Red Self-Mill, that's what I'm calling it. It's not really a self-mill type of deck, but you're drawing enough cards, it might as well be self-mill. So it uses Zada Hedron Grinder, which is going to copy spells that you target it with, and copy it for each other target creature you could, So let's say you have 5 creatures in Zada, right? You hit Zada with a spell, he's going to copy it for all 5 other creatures. So we're going to be using small spells like Expedite and Ancestral Anger that also draw you cards, so that if you have 5 creatures in Zada, you're going to draw 6 cards overall, 1 from the original and 1 from each copy. So in order to do that, we flood the board with things like Siege Gang Commander, Nimble Rate Schematic, Dragon Fodder, and Gleeful Demolition. The other interesting thing about Gleeful Demolition is because we can sacrifice artifacts with it, we'll be able to do Wizard's Rockets without having to sacrifice it to its own ability, so basically free. Ichor Wellspring we can draw extra cards off of, and we'll get the extra tokens off of Nimble Rate Schematic. We also have Cathartic Pyre for removal, and Lightning Bolt for removal, along with Sundering Eruption, basically just to help our board get in, and we're going to be bumping things up with Ancestral Anger and Fists of Flame to hopefully finish off games, along with drawing cards. Even if you just cast, let's say you have 5 goblins out, right? You cast Expedite, you draw 6 cards off of it because of Zada, you then cast Fist of Flame, everything's going to get plus 12, plus 0, and trample, and you've basically won the game from there. We also have Dwarven Mine to help get more creatures on the board, along with Mountains and a Sokenzan, because it's just another way to get more creatures. A basic hand rundown. So we don't want to keep this because it's 1 land. We're going to keep this. We'll probably put the Eruption and an Ancestral Anger on the bottom. We'll play Mountain turn 1. We'll go to turn 2. We will play Sokenzan. We're going to tap out for Dragon Fodder. Create 2 1/1 goblins. Play a Dwarven Mine that'll enter... Actually, wait on the Dwarven Mine. Play an Ichor Wellspring to draw a card. Now we play Dwarven Mine, tap. Go to turn 4. Here we probably play Nimble Rate Schematic. So now we have 3 1/1s total. Go to turn 5. So we'll play a Ancestral Anger to draw a card. We'll play an Expedite to draw a card. We will, on our next turn, play a Mountain, run out Siege Gang, and then basically as soon as we get another spell to cast, we'll be able to copy it and basically just go off. The consistency is a little bit shaky, however, I feel like it's kind of fair for a gimmicky kind of deck. It's supposed to be more explosive than consistent. Next up is Sundering Creativity. So this is a basic creativity deck. I believe they're big in Modern. However, usually their target is Archon of Cruelty. If you don't know how the deck works, you play Dwarven Mine, and you want to be able to create that 1/1, right? And then you play Indomitable Creativity targeting that 1/1, and if you only have 1 other creature in your deck, then you're guaranteed to find that creature. So our creature in this case, as in the name, is Sundering Titan, because it's a big hitter. It's going to be able to get in for damage. It's going to be able to... if it does leave, more or less disrupt the opponent's board, because they're probably playing either more land types than us, or if they're playing mountains too, we don't even have to worry about destroying our own lands. Anywho, it plays Cathartic Pyre to help either churn through the deck or remove things. Expedite is just a 1-mana draw. You can give your opponent's creature haste, it doesn't matter. All we want to be doing is cycling through the deck. Lightning Bolt for removal, Thrill of Possibility for draw, Bonfire of the Damned is removal, like a board wipe basically. Cathartic Reunion for draw, Crash Through for draw, Faithless Looting for card advantage, Magmatic Insight for draw. You just basically want to churn through your deck as fast as possible. I know what you're saying. I don't see Wizard's Rockets here. That's right, because if we have any other artifacts, it's gonna disrupt the whole game plan. So we kind of have to stick to instants and sorceries. Okay, so this hand we don't have the we don't have Indomitable Creativity, but we have almost everything else we want. So I think we would go Mountain. I think maybe bolt them to the face, whatever. Go Mountain, play Cathartic Reunion. We're going to discard Thrill and Pyre, draw 3 cards. So now we have Creativity. Move to turn 3, play a Mountain. I think we would Magmatic Insight to discard 1 Dwarven Mine, draw 2 cards just so we can get different cards in hand. Go to turn 4. We will play Dwarven Mine for turn, which, because we have 3 or more other mountains, we'll get to create that 1/1. Then we will Indomitable Creativity for 1. Keep going through our deck until we find another creature or artifact. So we put Sundering Titan onto the battlefield, and I think the rest would go to our bottom of the library, but I don't really care. So now Sundering Titan, we'd sacrifice a mountain, but at this board state right here, right, we have a 7/10 that they're either going to have a hard time blocking, hard time keeping up with, and then we can also slightly burn them through with bolts. So it's just kind of a long game until we can win. Definitely less explosive than Archon of Cruelty. I think there is a strong case for switching Sundering Titan in for like a dragon. Something with flying that's going to be more guaranteed damage. But overall, the deck, it can get going pretty fast. It can help churn through cards. And as soon as you get to the Sundering Titan, you may or may not have just won. Next up, uncreatively named, is Party. So Party is a party mechanic-based deck. So you have wizards, clerics, rogues, and warriors. If you have one of each, you have a full party. So the basic game plan for this deck is to get a full party. When you do, it's going to turn on different effects. Like for this one, it makes one creature not be able to attack, block, or activate abilities that your opponent controls at the beginning of combat until your next turn. So this is just a good way to lock down a creature. Malakir Blood Priest is going to be one of our main win cons. If we have a full party of 4, it's going to be burning them for 4 damage each time. So if we're able to flicker it, all we have to do is have it ETB 5 times in order for us to win. Nalia Diarnis is going to let us cast spells from the top of our library if they are clerics, rogues, warriors, or wizards. So it's just going to be a whole bunch of value, and it'll bump up our whole board. Nimble Trap Finder, again, it's a way to draw cards, and it's just going to add to our party count. Squad Commander is going to create us tokens to help us block, and it'll bump up our full party if we have one. Universal Automaton can fill in for any of the missing party members. So, like, we only have 2 wizards in the entire deck. So Universal Automaton will probably be a wizard, and we only have 3 warriors, so it'll probably be like a warrior. Something like that. It's just going to help fill in your party so that you can have the full party abilities. Concerted Defense is basically just a party-based counterspell. If you have a full party, they're going to have to pay 5, or else you get to counter a non-creature spell. Deadly Allegiance is a 1-mana kill spell if you have a full party. Ephemerate is going to be our way to flicker Malakir Blood Priest, which, side note, since when is Ephemerate $3? It's, like, out of hand. I mean, it's a good card, but, like, still. Spoils of Adventure is going to be our go-to draw spell. It's a 2-mana draw 3, which is pretty solid. Coveted Prize is basically a tutor, and if we have a full party, we can cast it for, we can cast the spell without paying its mana cost. So that could get us our last Malakir Blood Priest, that could get us an Ephemerate, and we could possibly cast it for free. Stick Together, so each player chooses a full party and then sacrifices the rest. You're probably only ever going to have, like, a full party and maybe one extra creature, so this is going to affect you a lot less than it's going to affect your opponent. Thwart the Grave is going to bring back 2 creatures, one of your choice and one from a party, which is fine, because this will just help you finish out games. Journey to Oblivion is a good removal spell, and it's only going to cost 1 if you have a full party. Kind of similar to Leyline Binding in a sense. Meticulous Excavation is going to let you return a permanent you control to its owner's hand. This is basically just to get back Malakir Blood Priest so that you can keep bouncing it and keep dealing damage. Landwise, Darkwater Catacomb, Islands, Plains, Skycloud Expanse, Swamps, and Temple of Silence. The deck's game plan is pretty simple overall, so this is probably the kind of hand we want to be keeping. Sure, there isn't a genuine win con, however, we go Swamp, we go Automaton, we go, I think, Island, Trap Finder, swing in for 1, go Swamp, Automaton, so we have 3 out of 4 party members, so this is only going to cost 3 when we cast it. And we just can't get a white source, apparently. So I guess another Trap Finder. See, I keep getting this, like, terrible luck, and it's like, there's, let's see, 2, 7, 9. There's 9 white sources in the deck, and I just couldn't seem to find any. So maybe the deck's inconsistent, I don't know. But that's basically how it works. Next up is Mutate, very simply named. It's a Mutate deck, so you want to either mutate onto one creature, usually Blighted Agent, because it's unblockable. So if you mutate Brokos onto, just realized there was a small fucking problem, and that's that Blighted Agent is a human, so you can't mutate on top of it. So instead we're playing Glistener Elf because you can. So you want to mutate on top of either Essence Symbiote to get it really big, or mutate on top of Glistener Elf in order to kill with Infect. And then the mutate abilities are going to help you either build up your board, or they're going to act as removal, making your opponents discard cards, whatever. Polywog Symbiote is going to make your mutate cost less. Sea Dash or Octopus is going to help you draw. Frantic Search to help you get through your deck. Infernal Grass for kills. Natural Spell, or Nature's Claim to destroy artifacts and enchantments. Spell Pierce is a counterspell. Commune with Nature to help you get mutate creatures into your hand. Nature's Lore for ramp. And then Feeded Pools, Forests, Islands. Memorial to Unity to help you get more creatures to hand. And Swamps. So I think we would not keep that. I don't think we want to keep that. My luck is, like, honestly horrid. So we're gonna put Frantic Search and Brokos to bottom. We're gonna go Forest. We're gonna Commune with Nature to put one of the top 5 into our hand. We're gonna take Migratory Greathorn. We're gonna go to turn 2. We're gonna go Swamp. We're gonna go Essence Symbiote. We're gonna pass. We are going to... We have no land. We're going to go turn 4. We're going to Swamp. We're going to mutate Migratory Greathorn. So we search for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then because it mutated, we put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's now a 4/5, and we gain 2 life. So we are going to... I'm just going to say that we searched... Let's actually search. Let's search for an island. We're going to move our island to the battlefield tapped. We're going to shuffle our... We are going to shuffle the library, go to turn 5. I think right now... Yeah, I think we run out Polywog Symbiote, swing in for 4. Um, mm, can't do that. We're gonna run out another Polywog Symbiote, and then next turn, I think we would mutate Auspicious Sterix on top. Definitely a slower deck. I think Mutate is really cool, but it's definitely not the fastest. Next up is Scurryoak Combo, probably the most reliable deck I've made so far. What's it do, I hear you ask? So it gets out Rosy Cotton of South Lane and Scurryoak. So whenever one or more counters are put on Scurryoak, you create a Squirrel token, and whenever you create a token, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control other than Rosy Cotton. So Squirrel enters, Rosy triggers, put that counter on Scurryoak, Squirrel enters, Rosy triggers, just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until eventually you put a +1/+1 counter on one of the squirrels to end the loop, and then you either swing in with a shit ton of squirrels or you swing in with a super stacked Scurryoak. You also have Ivy Lane Denizen, which will also go infinite with Scurryoak, and Protein Hulk, which when it dies will search out both Rosy and Scurryoak to just basically finish the game. Soul Guide Lantern for consistency and as a hate piece, Wizard's Rockets for draw, Disenchant for removal, Mana Tithe to basically protect your combo, Once Upon a Time to help you get your combo ASAP, Path to Exile for removal, Commune with Nature to get to your combo, Helping Hand to recover any combo pieces, and then Forest, Memorial to Unity to get back, or to find combo pieces, Plains, and Sungrass Prairie. So this deck is basically as simple as it looks. So we're going to mulligan once. I don't like the fact that Commune with Nature stayed the same, but we are going to put a Forest on the bottom. We are going to go Plains into Wizard's Rockets, enters tapped. We are going to go Forest into, let's Wizard's Rockets for 0, right? Yeah, well, Wizard's Rockets for 0. We're going to draw a card. We are going to play a Commune with Nature, look at the top 5, put a creature to hand. There's no creatures to put to hand, so we're going to Wizard's Rockets tapped. We're going to move to turn 3. We're going to play a Sungrass Prairie. We are going to sack Wizard's Rockets for 0, draw a card. We are going to, let's just say we disenchant something. I don't really care. At this point, we have neither of the combo pieces. So what this deck is lacking is draw. However, you're playing in white and green, so Commune with Nature and Once Upon a Time is going to be the closest you can get to draw. If we play a second test hand, we would start with this. Once Upon a Time, we can reveal and play it without paying its mana cost. So we're going to look at the top 5. We are going to put Scurryoak to hand. I'm just going to move them to exile to get them out of the way. Go to turn 1, play a Plains. Go to turn 1, play Memorial to Unity. Go to turn 2, play a Plains. Go to turn 3, we're going to run out Scurryoak. Go to turn 4, we are going to play Sungrass Prairie, sacrifice Memorial to Unity, look at the top 5, find a creature. Still no Rosy Cotton, still no creature. We're going to go to turn 5, we're going to play Rosy Cotton. We are going to create the food, put it on Scurryoak over and over and over and over and over, and then basically swing in with Scurryoak for like infinity damage, and win the game. That's the basic game plan. Pretty simple, pretty concise. Next up is Flash. So Flash isn't a very steady type of deck. I just thought that the cards were interesting, so I wanted to build it. So it basically tries to win the game by cycling cheap Flash cards, and dealing 1 damage and drawing another card with Slitherwisp. So every time you play a Flash spell, like you play Spectral Sailor, your opponent gets burned for 1, you draw another card. Hopefully you draw another Flash card, and you just keep going with that. You also have Cunning Nightbonder to make your Flash spells cost less, and an alternate win con of Brineborn Cutthroat, because it'll get really big, and then you can swing in with it. The deck also plays Fairy Vandal, which could win you a game, mostly there just to cycle with Flash. Stunt Double to possibly not steal, but copy one of your opponent's best cards. Thieves Guild Enforcer, Verdilian Click, Zulaport Duelist, Bladed Fan can give your creatures indestructible, and then Eaten by Piranhas and Mystic Subdual are going to be your version of removal. Islands and Swamps, you'll notice there's a low land count, but the deck also has an extremely low average mana value, and you want to be drawing into more flash cards and not more lands. So, there is no Slither Wisp in the hand. However, I think Cutthroat's going to be enough here, so we go turn 1, and we could either flash in Zulaport, Duelist, flash in Cutthroat on our opponent's turn, play a Swamp. On their end of turn, we'll do Duelist, which will pump up Cutthroat. We will run out Slither Wisp, go to turn 5, play a Swamp. We are going to play Mystic Subdual, or Eaten by Piranhas, why not? Draw a card. I believe Nightbonder has Flash, draw a card, go to our turn 6, play a Island, move to their turn, play Zulaport Duelist, draw a card, play a Fairy Vandal for 1 because of Cunning Nightbonder, draw a card, go to turn 7, go to their turn, go to Mystic Subdual, draw a card, Mystic Subdual, draw a card, and then you basically just want to keep running through flash cards, and hopefully using what pieces you do have, like the Subduals, the Eaten by Piranhas, to basically lock down their board. Even Duelist, you want them to be able to deal no damage while you just slowly chip away at them and cycle through your deck. Now, next up is Minotaur. So Minotaur, pretty simple. It's a Minotaur deck. However, it's less of a ramp Minotaur deck. What we're really trying to do is use cards like Cathartic Reunion, Cathartic Pyre, Faithless Looting in order to get Deathbell Warcry into the graveyard so that we can cast it for free with Mizzix's Mastery, and then search out a whole bunch of Minotaurs. So we have a Coom Warrior, which is also going to be standing in for a land, Blood Rage Brawler, Felhide, Petrifier in order to give our other Minotaurs Death Touch, Kragma Warcaller. We're definitely using like the kind of Lord type cards for Minotaurs. Neheb, Ragemonger to make them cost less, and Sethron because it's just good general support. Again, Cathartic Pyre for discarding and also to hopefully deal with our opponent's threat. Blood Beckoning to get back a creature if we need one. Deathbell Warcry is going to be our win con. We basically want to search for 4 Minotaurs, so probably Warcaller to give the rest haste, probably either all 3 Nehebs, or personally, I would think Sethron, because if you have it enter the battlefield, I don't know if they all enter at the same time, but I think you're able to get Minotaurs off the trigger. But either way, you just want to create a board of Minotaurs and win the game. There's also Sign in Blood just for draw. Barbarian Ring is going to be able to also be a little bit of a kill spell if you need it, and then Mountains and Swamps. So the deck is actually somewhat fast, depending on how it's played. This isn't a great hand for the general game plan, but if we go Mountain, Swamp, tap for Blood Rage Brawler, which it's a 4/3 for 2, all you have to do is discard a card, which seems bad, but it kind of works out. Go to turn 3, we now have a Deathbell Warcry. I kind of wish we saved Brawler, because that's another way to discard Warcry. We'll go for Ragemonger. We're going to swing in for 4. At this point, I think we don't really need the, so we're gonna flip. We're gonna pay 1, play Neheb the Worthy, because it costs 2 less because of Warmonger. It's gonna give all other Minotaurs first strike. As long as we have 1 or fewer cards in hand, our Minotaurs get +2/+0, and when it deals damage to a player, each player discards a card. So, I think we want to swing in for 4. Go to next turn. We're going to play a Swamp. We are going to I don't know if we can cast this without a target. I think we can. So if we cast Blood Beckoning with no target... No, I don't think... I'm not actually sure on that. Because if we can cast it no target, we'd be able to bump everything up with Neheb the Worthy, and then be able to swing in for 4, 10, 14 damage, and possibly win the game here. Either way, we'd go to next turn, play a Swamp, go to next turn. Cathartic Pyre to discard 2. Draw 2. Blood Rage Brawler, discard. Swing in for 14. Swing in for 20. And that's basically how the deck works. Sure, it seems slow, but it's kind of working as basically on par with everything else that'll be played against, so it's fine. That being said, it can be really fast. You can win with Mizzix's Mastery, like, turn 4. When I've run some test hands, that has happened, so it's basically only as good as you're lucky enough for it to be good. Next up is Mono Green Desert Burn. So this is kind of a weird in-between of Turbo Fog and green. Like, so you want to use cards like Spore Frog and Fog and Arachnogenesis and Lull to basically survive as long as possible in order to get out Desert Warfare, right? Which, whenever you sacrifice a desert, it's going to come back at your next end step, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have 5 or more deserts, you create that many 1/1s. So, I hear what you're saying. Oh, but sacrificing deserts is, you have to pay mana for that and shit. So we're going to use cards like Sustenance and Zurin Orb in order to be able to sacrifice them basically for free. I know technically Sustenance costs 1, but you tap the desert for 1 mana to pay for Sustenance and then sacrifice that desert. It really doesn't matter what creature gets +1/+1, but we're playing all the deserts that deal 1 damage and Dunes of the Dead so that we can get tokens, and you basically just want to keep sacrificing those deserts, then you get them back, they deal 1 damage, and you use cards like Communicate with Spirits to help you get Desert Warfare or Sustenance, along with Wizard's Rockets for draw, and Mindstone to help you ramp into Desert Warfare. So it's got a pretty basic game plan. So I'm 50-50 on this hand, because I think... Yeah, sure, why not? So we're going to go in with a Bristling Backwoods, burn the opponent for 1. We are going to go in for a Bluffs, burn for 1. Look at the top 4. We are going to put a Sustenance to hand, since there's nothing else we can put to hand. We are going to go to turn 3. We are going to play a Sunscorched Desert, burn them for 1. Run out Sustenance. So I know they're not technically in the graveyard, but whatever. At this point, we would play Dunes of the Dead, and on each of the opponent's turn, we would Fog, go to next turn, burn for 1, Fog, play burn for 1, Fog, play Arachnogenesis, hopefully create spiders to block, but it also fogs either way. Go to turn 8, play a Zurin Orb, run out Sustenance, block with spiders, play a Mindstone. We are going to sacrifice Mindstone to draw a card. We're going to cycle Lull. We're going to draw a card. We are going to not play Mindstone because we can't yet. We are going to burn for 1. We are going to play Mindstone. We are going to sacrifice Mindstone. We are going to draw a card. Now we have Desert Warfare. We're going to play Desert Warfare, sacrifice all of our lands to Zurin Orb to gain 14 life. Then on our end step, they all come back. We burn our opponent for a total of 6. We'd create a zombie when we sacrifice Dunes of the Dead. Go to next turn, do the same thing, sacrifice all of our lands, burn for another 6. And that's basically how the deck works. So on top of Zurin Orb being a good sack outlet, your opponent probably isn't going to be able to out-damage Zurin Orb, especially since you're just getting your lands back and you won't have to worry about it. The only thing the deck really has to worry about is any sort of enchantment removal, but only certain decks are running it in the pods, so it's 50-50. So next up is Brain Blast. So Brain Blast, pretty simply, it's a calibrated blast deck, and instead of a lot of calibrated blast decks, I mean, it's probably doing the same thing all of them want to do, actually, which is Brainstorm, Brain Surge, Brainstone, to put either Apex of Power, Volcanic Salvo, or Ancient Stone Idol on top. Then you burn for 10, and then flashback it 2 turns later in order to hit for another 10 and hopefully win the game. It can also win through, like, Nairaphage. It has Izzet Signet to technically ramp, so you could possibly actually play Apex of Power, but it's very unlikely, along with Dream Cache and Ominous Seas. Since Brainstorm is technically a draw 3, you will get 3 Ominous Seas triggers. So it's a lot of options, and then Halimar Depths to rearrange the top 3 of your library. The deck plays pretty simply. You keep a hand if it has Calibrated Blast. Like, okay, so here's a great example. So we go Island, we go Brainstorm, we draw 3. We are going to put 2 cards back on top. So we'll probably put... Okay, let's think about this. We're going to put Island. We are going to put Izzet Signet back on top. We're going to go to turn 2. We're going to play Calibrated Blast. We are going to run out on Izzet Signet. We're going to go to turn 3. So why did I say Calibrated Blast? I meant Mountain. I'm so stupid. We're going to play an Island for turn. We are going to play Brainstorm. 1, 2, 3. We are going to put Ancient Stone Idol. Let's put Dream Surge, Ancient Stone Idol. Then we're going to play Calibrated Blast, hit the opponent for 10 off of Ancient Stone Idol, go to turn 4, guess play a Mountain for turn. We are going to Brain Surge. We get to draw 4, put 2 back on top. So we're going to put a Apex of Power and a Mind Stone back on top, or Brainstone. Go to turn 5, we draw the Brainstone. We are then going to pay 5. We're going to flashback Calibrated Blast. Since it has a flashback cost of 5, we're going to exile it, cast it, hit them for 10 with Apex of Power, and win the game turn 5. Definitely a very simple game plan, but overall pretty efficient. Does what it needs to do, and yeah, classic Calibrated Blast, you know? Next up is Minion of the Mighty. So this is a pretty basic Minion of the Mighty type deck. So what it does is it wants you to get 2 creatures with total power 6 or greater. When you do, you get to play a dragon for free from your hand. So how do we do that? Well, we have cards like Scale Up that'll make Minion of the Mighty a 6/4. We have Revenge of the Haunted, which will be a lot cheaper if we cast it for Miracle, and it'll give it +6/+6. We have Giant Growth and Brute Force, which if you use 1 of each or 2 of one, will make it +6/+6, and it'll be big enough to hit. Along with Blazing Shoal, which you could exile it and like a dragon from the hand in order to have Minion of the Mighty big enough. We also have Wizard's Rockets and Cathartic Reunion to help get through the deck as fast as possible. So how does it work? Well, let me show you. So we're going to mulligan this. We are going to keep this. It's not great, but we're going to put Brute Force at the bottom. We're going to Mountain. We're going to pass. We're going to Mountain. We're going to Cathartic Reunion. We're going to discard Revenge of the Hunted and Scale Up to draw 3. We are going to go to next turn. We are going to Cathartic Reunion. We are going to discard a Mountain and a Brute Force. 2, 3. So we have a dragon in hand, which will be good when we get Minion of the Mighty. We're going to go to turn 4. We're going to play a Mountain. Can't really do shit. We can't really do shit. We play Minion of the Mighty. On our... Go to turn 7. We are going to swing in... Sorry. With Minion of the Mighty. we will play Blazing Shoal and discard... So there's two ways we can do this, right? We can either... Actually, no, there's one way we can do this. I'm not stupid. We will discard Raging Hellkite, or Ragefire Hellkite, to bring out Drakoseth, which will also be attacking, so we're going to hit in for a total of 13, assuming Minion of the Mighty hits, and then we'll also hit them with 4 from Drakoseth, and then burn 2 creatures. So at this point, they are at, 13, 4, 3 life, and then next turn we would just hit him with Drakoseth. You generally don't want to keep a hand without Minion of the Mighty. I just thought I'd be able to churn through fast enough. Clearly, I was delusional. Last up is Flashback. So Flashback is a deck using small cards that you're able to flashback from the graveyard, along with Crush of Worms to finish off games. You either gain value by bumping up Sisterhood of Karn by casting spells from the graveyard, or you accrue a board of small creatures with Ominous Roost. Basically, you just want to be finishing out games, maybe a little bit longer, but using a whole bunch of flashback spells. Root Coil Creeper is going to be really helpful for helping you flashback your spells. Vol, again, is going to add like 3 mana to help you cast spells from the graveyard. Dream Twist to help you get spells to the graveyard. Same with Otherworldly Gaze. Crush of Worms is your finisher. Deep Analysis is a really good draw spell. Mass Diminish is just an option to help take your opponent out of the game for a turn or so. Quiet Speculation is going to help you get flashback cards into your graveyard. See the Truth is going to be a draw 3 for 2 if you flashback a spell that turn. Tracker's Instinct is going to let you get creatures into your hand, and it has flashbacks, so this is going to be really useful for either getting Sisterhood to finish off a game, or Root Coil Creeper in order to ramp up for more spells. Ominous Roost to help flood your board, and Secrets of the Dead so that you don't, like, brick. We also have Ipnu Rivulet, because we need other ways to be able to mill, along with Forests and Islands. So this is probably the weakest deck I have made, because Flashback is kind of hard, even in concept. So we're going to play Rivulet, we're going to pay the 1 life, we're going to play Otherworldly Gaze, we're going to look at the top 3, we are going to put these 2 in our graveyard, we're going to put the Forest on top, we're going to draw the Forest for a turn, we are going to play the Forest, we are going to wait to flashback. We're going to look at the top 3. We are going to put Gaze on top, put the other 2 in our graveyard, go to turn 3. We play Secrets of the Dead, go to turn 4. We play a Forest. We are going to run out Ominous Roost. We are going to Otherworldly Gaze, look at the top 3. We are going to put Quiet Speculation back on top, go to turn 5. We are going to Otherworldly Gaze, so we will get to draw a card because of Secrets of the Dead, create a 1/1 because of Ominous Roost, then we look at the top 3, we are going to put them all in our graveyard, we are then going to flashback, Gaze, look at the top 3, we're going to put Crush of Worms and the Island in the graveyard, put Root Coil back on top. I forgot we were supposed to draw, so we're going to draw. We are going to play a Forest or an Island for turn. We are going to Quiet Speculation to search for 3 spells with flashback. We are going to put them into our graveyard. And yeah, the deck basically just kind of churns through itself in order to get flashback spells in the graveyard to keep accruing value and then hopefully win with either a board of Ravens or a Crush of Worms. I have thought about it. I do think possibly switching out Crush of Worms in order to play a Laboratory Maniac might not hurt. Doing something like putting in Lab Maniac, putting Crushing Worms down to 2, and then, like, adding an Island. I think that also helps with the budget a little bit, because I feel like Crush of Worms you're just not always getting to, especially with how short games can be sometimes, so just let me know if you can think of any better flashback win cons, and that's been some more Kitchen Table Showdown. Currently, I've been working at adapting some of my Pauper decks into Kitchen Table Showdown. I've also still been working on, like, a Tumbleweed Rising deck, a Reanimator Cycly deck, a Skeletons deck, an Outlaw Aristocrats deck, which Outlaw and Aristocrat you think would be opposites, but it kind of works. And Hogak is still kind of on the table. But let me know, do you have any cool cards to build around? If you haven't noticed, some of these have been more concept over actual quality, right? Like, let's be real, Stompy Bunnycorn, probably not the best deck, but I wanted to make a Regal Bunnycorn deck that would work. You know, this whole green burn thing, it's probably way too complicated. The whole Minotaur thing, it's definitely not the best, but these are cards I wanted to play, and that I think would be really good for some short, you know, small kitchen table games of Magic with friends. So that's, like, why I'm building these decks, you know? So, yeah, this has been MTG Man. If you're sick of this and you want me to make more Commander, put that in the comments. I don't do shit unless people do it in the comments. And let me know, any cool cards, any cool ideas? Do you want to see me, like, kitchen table Commander? I don't fucking know. Y'all let me know in the comments, and I'll be back eventually, I think. Bye.